Welcome back to another episode of Stabby After Dark. It has been a minute. This episode is going to be a little different. Before I get started, I want to make a few things clear. I have not written anything, a statement, or anything like that. I've made a couple bullet points of things I want to make sure I include, but this is going to be just kind of off the cuff from my memory, so bear with me. 2, I do not gain anything from this. In fact, I'm kind of scared to put it out, but I'm in a unique position where I wasn't on set for the Terrifier films. I was very adjacent to them, but I wasn't on set, so I am not in any kind of breach of contract or violation in that regard. The only reason I am coming out with any information I have, and it's not even much, is to back up Catherine and Steve, because they deserve to be heard and they deserve to be believed. It was incredibly brave of Catherine to come forward. And I know people are going to be saying, you just want to get rich quick and you just want to capitalize off other people's success. No, they hold the cards right now. This is one of the most successful horror franchises in history. You think she wanted to take them to court with the kind of lawyers they could afford, the kind of public support they would have? The vitriol in Catherine's comments on some of the articles is evidence enough that this was going to be an uphill battle for her or anyone coming forward. I think it's fair to say, would not have taken off the way it did if it wasn't for Catherine. Because David is incredible, and it wouldn't be a franchise without him. There would be no Art the Clown alongside Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Jason as horror legends without David. But Catherine being willing to hang upside down in a frigid warehouse, who physically gave for her performance, she had ruptured eardrums from doing this. That's the scene that sparked everything. So to be so dismissive of her and to not give her her fair share is really unfortunate. And I doubt she ever wanted it to go this far. Some of you may be wondering, who the hell are you and what could you possibly have to say about the Terrifier franchise that's relevant? So nutshell, my husband and I are adult performers, and we made the first official, I guess, parody of Terrifier, our little horrifier. And that's kind of what got us in. I had been friendly with David on Twitter before he was unceremoniously kicked off. We're both theater kids, so we ran in a lot of the same circles. And when we were starting to make Horrifier, I wanted to make sure I didn't step on anybody's toes and that I didn't piss anybody off. So I asked him, I said, David, do you think this will be okay? Is there any licensing we should look into purchasing? Is there any copyright we should worry about? And he was wonderful and said, no, I think Damien will love it. This is great. Have fun. And it did become kind of this bonding camaraderie. It was really cool. We first met them at New Jersey Horror Con. I believe it was the year before T2 dropped, and we brought our award that we won and had it signed. So if you're wondering why I am even making a video about this, that's why. I was not necessarily involved, but I was around a lot for a while before it blew up, and then a lot during too. So, a couple of the points. This is a question I'm sure people are going to ask a lot of anyone who comes forward with any information. Why now? Why not sooner? I think probably the most obvious answer, fear. Not only of losing future work, but also current work. If you don't like it, you can leave and you'll be replaced before tomorrow. Seemed to be the overall tone on set, according to various cast and crew members I've spoken to. And a huge part of it is the fear of not being believed. And I think some of the hate that Catherine and Steve have received demonstrates that. The Terrifier fan base are devoted. They are a devoted group. And that's great. But that kind of blind loyalty can get very ugly very quickly. So I am genuinely in awe of Catherine for coming forward. I guarantee this isn't she just decided to straight up hire lawyers and take them to court. She probably talked to them over and over and over again, asking to be compensated fairly via the contract she signed. And they blew her off, and blew her off, and blew her off. So try and be understanding. Would you want to go up against the most successful horror franchise in years? I know I don't, but I want to support and validate Catherine and Steve so that hopefully they feel less alone, or at least heard. Because there are a lot of people who are still not ready or able to come forward with their own stories, and I guarantee you there will be more. Another reason more people didn't come forward sooner, because most people who were wronged in this situation are genuine professionals who didn't want to hurt the production. And they still don't. I think everybody did everything they could up until nothing was working. And so I think a lot of people that were wronged by them, they were not the kind of people who were going to talk to tabloid magazines and drag their names. That's just not who they are. No one wanted to ruin this for anybody. I still don't. I want to continue to support the good people involved in this crew. This was the little horror film that could. Made on an indie budget in my backyard in New York. That's amazing. I wanted to support it. I always wanted to support it. Even when I felt like I shouldn't. I know when we first covered Terrifier and we had David on the show and Steve asked, do you think they're, like I love a woman's perspective. Do you think they're misogynistic films? And I hadn't seen 2 yet. So I was going just based off 1. And I also hadn't seen All Hallows Eve. But when he asked me that question, I was so kind of blindsided and excited to see this little horror film that could, doing so well. Something that was made in New York on a shoestring budget. So I was blindsided by that and by the fact that it was a slasher that broke slasher rules. That's really what stuck with me from the first one and why I liked it so much. But rewatching, and now with the others, yes, the first 2 victims in the first film are men, but they're killed much quicker than the women. But he's not naked. He's not being insulted. The women's kills are something else entirely. They are not only killed, but they are humiliated, tortured, and punished. There is a lot of anger behind these scenes. It's a very bro code kind of environment. And they just kind of forgot about everybody else who helped make these films what they are. The people like Steve, who pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, putting his contacts and his career and his reputation on the line to get people seeing this film and talking about it. When I went to Monster Mania the year after 2, I spent a lot of time around the booth. And I remember Steve and I talking about Etsy and how tired he was from just being up late scouring Etsy, trying to find knockoff merchandise and have it taken down. Not like if somebody handcrafted a mug or, a phone case. We're talking more like prints on t-shirts or posters that were not official merchandise, that kind of thing. I can't even imagine how draining that was, how overwhelming that would be to just put Terrifier in Etsy and go, all right, well, this will take a week. I was personally not treated super great. I don't want to say badly, but I, offered to help out that day. I bagged window cards. I went to get change for them. They sent me to the box office, and the box office did not have any cash other than 10s and 20s. And I just happened to remember that earlier in the day when I went shopping, there was one booth where I bought a few things, and I noticed they had a lot of $3 and $7 items. So I thought they'll have singles. And they did. There were these 3 lovely ladies. If I can find their Instagram, I will link it. They gave me a whole bunch of change. I brought it back. I don't even remember getting a thank you, if I'm being totally honest. I also folded t-shirts and made, social media reels and whatnot to help promote. And I don't think anybody from 2 bothered to even know my name. And I also understand that they're probably cautious of starfuckers and clout chasers and all of that, but anyone who knows me knows I'm not that person. If I was a clout chaser and I gave a shit about that kind of stuff, I would be way more successful in life and an adult in particular. I thought some of these people were my friends, and they were. My husband and I would go to trivia once a week with David and Marcus. David came to our Halloween party. I pet sat Marcus's budgie. I wasn't just some chick. So, as you can imagine, this kind of attitude and ego doesn't exactly foster a positive and comfortable work environment, but rather, at best, tense, at worst, toxic. Anybody can check IMDb and see that there wasn't an intimacy coordinator until 3. No intimacy coordinator until the 3rd movie. Which lends even more credence to Catherine's additional assault claims. I already addressed earlier the physical toll the soft scene took on her, but the lax rules and inexperience, maybe some arrogance, made sets unsafe for everyone. Horrific working hours, which, of course, everybody, when you do film, people expect it. People are willing to trudge it out for something they care about. Then to do that, to be working way over time, blood, sweat, and tears, literally, to then just be dismissed when you have a genuine concern. It's not a good look. There's a lack of care and understanding of the seriousness of making films like these that's more than a little concerning. It sucks. It sucks that it came to this point where more and more people are going to have to be like, okay, well, finally someone's addressing it. Finally, someone's talking about it. Hopefully this kind of behavior doesn't continue in the future. I know this is a mess. I feel like I'm rambling. I think all anyone right now wants out of this is just some accountability. Just say you fucked up, guys. Own it and apologize and learn from it. Grow from it. And just give credit where credit is due. It's not asking much. No one's trying to cancel. No one's trying to ruin the franchise. No one's trying to take this away from anyone. I think that's it. Just understand that you're still allowed to like these movies. You're still allowed to love these movies. But something has to change. Just listen. I'm Sonia Harcourt, and this was Stabby After Dark.
The Stabby Road podcast was created by Joe Senna, hosted by Rob Graydon, Sonia Harcourt, and Joe Senna. Recording technicians Josh Graydon and Eric Todd. The Stabby Road podcast is a production of Fourth Castle. All rights reserved. See you next week.